Good evening, LinkedIn. It is time for another episode of Singularity Soothsayers with me and Nico Lafakis. How you doing, man?
Doing well, sir. Doing better every day that I have GPT Pro. So I have officially canceled my cloud subscription, and
I heard.
so I mean it's okay. It's not like it wasn't a hard breakup or anything like that. We parted amicably. Um, it's just that I'm gonna figure out how to supplement the extra on GPT Pro, and then I think all my problems are solved. So it
It's
was it was a good thing. We had a
it's
good
a
thing
good
going.
run. It's a
Yeah,
good run.
yeah.
Um, and but we won't. Still, some things coming out. This Anthropic Economic Index.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I love it. I love having this conversation about the impending singularity because I know we're going to constantly get help from these companies on having this conversation. Um, so, I sent it over and talks about the initial economic impact that AI is having. Um, I haven't dug deep yet, but you mentioned you were talking through it with a few people, so I'd love for you to get me some fresh eyes on it, and we can dig in.
Well, yeah. I mean, I haven't actually dug into it yet myself. Just from like really super like real quick looking at it, the numbers make sense to me in terms of like what currently could be affected versus like what would be affected in the long term, and like so the thing is, and I don't know if this gets into it or not, but it's really difficult to have this conversation in my opinion because of the fact that we don't know what road it's going down. Like there are so many different ways in which this could play out in terms of like, well, it could be that, you know, it could be that capitalism goes amok and they do decide to just start, replacing people wholesale, right? Like that's one way to do it. Um, could be that work isn't even a thing anymore because robots. So work gets done on all different levels, and the whole meaning of work and money and everything like that just goes away. Um, and then there's the things stay the way that they are. They just exponentially increase, and we change to a value based system, um, which I want to say way back when I was saying something about this, because Altman was saying this. He was saying that we would, um, right now it's like we're really productivity based, right? And it's like how much can you produce necessarily? But if you had multiples of yourself, right, then the production aspect of it is starts to become like null, I guess. Um, and at that point, it's like you have to switch from production to value. You have to switch from um, production to be more about uh, contribution, right? Like, what are you contributing? What is the value of what you're contributing, right? So, right now, all we care about is like how fast can you produce something, but that's because we're limited by human power. Fairly soon, and actually now, if you're doing it, you are already augmenting yourself. But a lot of companies are getting ready to do this. Some are actually doing it, and uh, if you're and basically, if you're doing it, you're augmenting yourself for the better. You're making yourself even better than you could be, right? What is going to help you even more is that later this year, you're going to really, like we showed it off on Tuesday, a better version of this thing is right around the corner. And pretty soon, you're going to be able to control a digital version of yourself. And you're going to be able to have that digital version of yourself take care of whatever that mundane task is that you would normally have to do while you turn your attention to the thing that you actually love doing. I'm really sure I don't even have to guess. I just know that everyone out there who actually applied for the job that they wanted and got it, but then realized it sucks because there's so much nuance and minutia and bullshit that goes along with it, you're about to not have that anymore. That it's that simple. It really is that simple. I know it sounds like magic, but that's what happens when something comes along that's so advanced, but you had no idea how it worked and you don't understand how it works, but it just does this thing that seems magical to you, right? It's not magic. It's science. It's literally science. It's literally math, right? It's algorithms, right? Algorithms on top of data. So
All of the data,
all of the datas are
all of
belong
it.
to it. So yeah, so one of the things that I thought was super super interesting in this study is, and what was really cool about it is that um just the types of conversations, right, and the breakdown of like the types of conversations that are had with Claude, um to me is really, it's pretty shocking. And what they did that I thought was really cool is they have a chart that shows the percentage of Claude conversations that are had relative to uh, the percentage of workers in that, I guess, in that space. No, it's a percentage of that. Sorry, percentage of that job type in the overall U.S. economy versus number of people who are having conversations. So essentially, what you're looking at is who is making the most use out of Claude right now. Obviously, sore thumb, anybody doing computer and mathematical stuff, right? Very clearly. Those people are so tired of using calculators and like anything that's beneath this stuff to try to solve. Imagine, like, let's just be honest. None of you have the complexity of the issues that those people. I don't even know what the hell that job looks like. Okay, I'll be honest. I don't know what it is. I'm sure it has something to do with like NASA and like rocket science. You know what I mean? Like seriously, math that like is nearly unsolvable, and they're using this to try to like get there, right? So
Well,
if
isn't
math,
this like, I think the computer part,
oh yeah, would be computer
like, I
engineering,
feel
right?
like this is SaaS,
Oh, hands down, software. Yeah,
right?
yeah, development coding. Yeah, yeah.
Um, which would make sense because it matches like this
The
number up
adoption rate
here,
as
like
well.
the computer mathematical. So we can see, I love digging into this because we can see exactly what this group is asking:
Hmm.
develop and maintain software applications and websites,
Right.
right? So definitely software developers. It's funny, like, I guess we got to put mathematical somewhere. I don't know.
You know what I
Like,
would like to see that?
uh,
Well, no, because that's what it is, right?
yeah,
Like at
yeah,
the end of the day, it's that's what drives it, right?
right,
So,
right,
I mean, any coding language is algebra at the end of the day.
yeah.
So, you know, but looking at that, like the develop and maintain software number, like what I want to see is I want to see inside that number to see like who's using it. Is it people like me? Like I'm still, I just need like, I don't know, a half hour, and then I'm gonna publish a prompt, like a prompt maker, basically, but like my version of it. So people who are constantly asking me like, hey, how do you formulate your prompts and what do you do in order to make your prompts, like you're going to be able to do that. This thing is going to take, trust me when I say I'm making it so that you could put like 5 words in and get like a really nice like magnanimous prompt out of it, that's actually effective. So like even for me it's like I've published one, but I'm going to publish a second piece of software, and then like I've got a third one in the wings, right? So like I want to see of that percentage who's new. I already know 5 people who have been coding things that aren't coders. right? Only one of
Yeah.
them is like actually looking at like coding, like certifications and stuff like that. The rest of them are like just free running it, right?
Yep.
And it's nuts when I show people Replit and I let them watch like what it does, and then they they ask me like what my background is, and it's like using this stuff, right? Like asking questions, I guess. Like I don't. Other than that, and they were, they're like, well, what do you do if it has bugs? I tell it to fix it, and then it fixes it, and then we're good. So
Yeah.
it's like I don't know what else is like. There's really nothing else I can say. That's the level we're at, right? So, um, and then of
I
course,
was,
art design and sports, that absolutely doesn't surprise me either, right? Because the amount of image and video generation that's going on is insane.
yeah. I mean, it's interesting, like the nuance in these numbers, and we're probably just used to looking at it like this because from the CRM space, like adoption of the thing
Hmm.
is so important. So if you were to look at like this is an admin and then this is like sales and other parts of the business, like yeah, they haven't even adopted it yet.
Right.
And so this whole group is much more likely to have been exposed to AI in
Oh yeah.
some regard, right?
Well, just by way of
Um,
like hearing about it too, right?
yeah. And like we're in software all day. Almost every piece of software has like a copilot or something
Yeah. At this
now.
point.
Whereas like when you're not at a desk all day, you might have to go out of your way to um, to have experienced this. And uh, so I'd say like anybody checking this out, like because this is where it's so easy to say like, oh, it's not there yet, like because we see such a vast difference in
But
these numbers.
you
It's
know what
just
I'm
not
also
being
seeing
used
though.
yet.
But I'm also seeing, um, I gotta say, like I wish. What makes up the? Let me see. Clinical psychologists, historian. Okay, yeah. So here's what I'm seeing. What I'm seeing in the breakdown is that the younger the industry, the higher the use, compared relative to um, its like percentage in the of like its percentage of industry in the market, right? So like computer and mathematical, right? It's you can see that percentage gain is showing you like how much more is about to come out of that field over like I mean this year it's going to be even nuts. It's probably triple, quadruple, I don't know, whatever that number. If you look at what really blows me away is legal services. How it's almost dead even in terms of percentage of the market and then percentage of use. How, right? So, and then you look at healthcare and it's like, how is that not moving, right? So there's a lot to do with, okay, super sensitive data, right? So like some of it is it's hard to move the needle on a lot of it because of the fact that like we're not there with like the data security that's necessary in order to handle that kind of stuff. And for each individual office to install its own system at this stage in the game, it's it's going to be expensive, right? Like down the line, most people are going to get, you know, you're opening up the door for scams and stuff too, for scam installs and whatnot. Um, but and of course, when you look at the more human-led labor jobs, definitely it's going to take a little bit more to exercise some use there. But I'm also seeing, there's also like a trend to me in terms of all of those jobs have a lot of processing to them that really could be advantageous, right? In the with the use of like Claude, and it's like killing me. And I don't know if it's maybe that this is where GPT picks up the slack, right? So maybe it's less Claude conversations for these use cases, but maybe it's like more GPT for that or something like that. But um,
That's true.
it it's a thing where it's like I would love to talk to the industries and find out like, hey, what is it that you don't think that it can do for you versus like what are you doing that you wish it could, right?
Yeah,
So let's
I would
see.
love to see one of these uh, from GPT for sure.
Right.
Maybe we got the next best thing over there
Oh, with the operator.
with deep research,
Oh yeah, deep research. Yeah,
right?
absolutely. Yeah.
Do we get to show that off again?
Um. Yeah. I mean, let's see. I was actually setting up a prompt to do exactly what this is doing in terms of like set it up to look to do research on something like this. Um. So yeah, I mean, I can set up a run for you. No problem.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Probably showing this stuff off like every show now. Uh, I mean, that's how powerful it is. Like, I think so much of those numbers would just relate to like, has that job group been like force exposed to AI in some way?
Mm, I spell. Yeah, I mean, it is a lot about um, here. Is this the one I'm looking for? Yep. Okay. No, that's an instruction creator. Different task for a different model. I've got way too many. Let's see.
For anybody who doesn't know, this is what the computer and mathematics groups look like with
This?
tabs
No.
open,
Oh
code,
yeah,
random code and tabs,
yeah.
like all
Replit
all of
over
the
here.
tools.
Got chat over here. Agent AI over here. Study on stuff here. Firefly over here. Like, yeah. Gamma on the end for some reason. Um, I don't even know. Like it's just open because
You
it's
never know when you just need to throw a website together.
a.
Like,
Okay. Sure. Let's try that. I was trying to do one that would be like I had at some point. Oh, you know what? Here we go. Where's my researcher? There he
so I
is.
wonder if like that counts all of the other services that are on top of Claude. Like,
Like enterprise use case and stuff, you mean? Or
like
like third party stuff that's using Claude?
yeah, third party stuff that's using Claude. Like,
Mm.
because it's probably because it prompts Claude based on the user prompts it has, right?
Hmm.
So that's where, because that came to mind, like in the case of Gamma, um, like is we add the content to the Gamma page, is it sending the same kind of prompt to Claude every time? And then that's how like the website management and maintenance and updating like percentage that would be included in that percentage.
That would suck. um, that would definitely suck because that's quite the skew.
Well,
Um,
not just Gamma. I'm just saying, like,
right.
I would think it would have to be like, and it certainly should be because it would be nice to represent like greater AI tool usage beyond just direct Claude conversations. I'm sure it mentions exactly the parameters in the study somewhere, but
Probably. Where's my oh one?
because
Okay.
that's where like And hopefully, like, this is a prompt to the industry itself to develop like collective benchmarks. Because if you've got 300 million, is it 300 million users of GPT?
Let me see.
Something like that.
Let me see. Yeah, but see,
Okay.
that's why, you know what? That's why nobody likes you, Google.
Because that could also, like, if it's significantly more, it might give us a skewed picture.
Mm.
Because I know I use Claude for specific tasks versus GPT versus Perplexity.
Go away. Okay. GPT and including Dolly. Let's see. But this is February 2024, really? Is that an answer you're gonna get as of June? As of January.
And that's downloads.
I know. Do we go by downloads, right? As opposed
Yeah.
to conversations? Let's see.
It should be active users, I think, is the number. So I've heard 100 to 300. There it
Over
is.
300 million. Weekly. My bad. I thought it was monthly.
Okay.
1 billion user messages sent on every day, man. That's nuts.
Mm. So a lot of usage. And
Well,
that could definitely like matter to those results. And so just if you're checking that article out, just keep that in mind. Like, it's a bunch of users on GPT that are not represented in
right.
that data. So it's not AI for everybody. It's AI usage for Claude users.
Is that from the same Verge article? Okay. Okay. 5 days to surpass 1 million. 4.7, 4.8 per month. But that doesn't sound. Yeah, it does actually. Never mind. Wow. That's shocking. That is shocking. That's so horrific right there. That is like the most. I can't zoom into this statistic more. I wish I could. It runs out at 200. That is the most shocking thing. I can't believe I'm like embarrassed. I'm seriously embarrassed right now. That's shockingly bad. That's horrific. That is horrific, bro. Horrific. 15% of 4.8 billion. Are you kidding me?
No, that's not what that means.
Are you serious? Like around 15% of GPT's users are American.
Of
So if it's
users.
4.8 billion users per month,
That's
so it's
visits per month. So it's
oh man, so it's
15%.
even lower. Damn.
It's 15% of the 300 million,
That's actually
right?
worse. Yeah. No, man, that's so much worse. Yeah, sorry. I look, guys, I didn't graduate with math, right? Like that's why I'm not in coding.
Hold on.
Um,
Let's do the math here.
no, like man, that's ridiculous.
I don't think it is that much because we got 8 billion uh, people. There, let me. Where are we at? Like 300 or 400,000?
I want to
300
say
or
we're like
400 million.
325, something like that. 334. So like 50 million basically,
So
right?
divided by 8 billion. So our population is 4% of the world.
Right. Yeah.
So I would say, like, I think generally we are higher consumers, like, compared to our, like, we're usually higher, we have a higher consumption rate,
Right.
like,
That's why it's pretty
to,
sad to me. Like,
to our, so it's 4x, um, about 4x compared to our population percentage of the world. Um, so definitely surprised that, well, no, because this is where, see, like, if that's other
mm,
systems and other places like accessing GPT through other means, and it gets anywhere close to China and India, like, that would make sense that the US is lower than expected,
that's what I would say.
right? So,
How would we find, what would you even call that?
what's
Because
that?
realistically, I'm looking for like the number of jobs for people who work like in an office, right? U.S. office workers, including remote.
Uh, I love Laura already.
Look, man, you know,
Shit, that girl of math, babe.
yep, yep. That's she knows, she knows.
This is why we got tools.
No, we know how many work remote already. That's cool. Uh, I don't know. Let's see. Okay.
I think it's deep research time.
Yeah, probably. Right. What did the research team say? Yeah, sure.
So set the stage. You started with a question, and then your plan was to create more questions so that a team of researchers could get to work in the background.
Yeah. So this is my research assistant, GPT, and what it does is it takes simple concepts that I have and translates them into uh, like research questions that I can actually ask a real research team. Actually, these are the guys I should have been asking that to. Um, Let me get rid of this chat so I don't make that mistake again. So it takes something like super simple that I want to look at. I can give it like a, I don't know, one sentence thing. I want to look at metering and whether there's any history of abuse, right? So it's like literally, this is what I want to research. Okay, cool. It'll think about it and then break it down into investigate the evolution of the state of metering systems within the electric utility sector, focusing on identifying any documented cases of patterns of abuse. Right, like I don't have to write all of this research query. I just have to review it to make sure that it's going to pull the information that I'm wanting it to pull, and then I just give it over to what I tell it is my research team, which is usually O1 Pro, set to deep research. So the research team thinks it's talking to the researcher. You know, it's no one's none the wiser.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and give these answered questions back to the team.
It becomes so much easier to work with when you think about it in human to human terms.
Right, because
Like,
it's
this is
like
what you would do if you really wanted to handle like a wide scale research project. This is why it should not be hard to like connect the dots between full teams of people that are doing this stuff
all right.
and what they need to be aware of.
So in terms of what are we doing? Basically, just doing GPT o1 Pro deep research on the same topic as Anthropic's economic study. super interested to see what it's going to come up with. What goes even further than this is like this conversation of research could get super like in depth. So in other words, I've done conversations today that were just like deep research after deep research, right? Like on the same subject, just in on the very like differing aspects of it, right? So you just start, again, start at like a high level, not necessarily high level topic. It's just maybe you start with something that you didn't realize that there was some minutia to it that was actually more interesting to you that you wanted to delve further into. So then you end up taking that and going even further into that, right? And then all of a sudden, you end up with this entire chain of conversation that now becomes like this usable research data that you can then load into a GPT project or whatever and use as the backbone for whatever it is that you're going to be working on. I mean, again, like with it being like cited hardened research and what have you, it's it's something that you can, like, let's say you wanted to build something for being excellent at, like, I don't know, application of certain artistic styles, or wanted it to be excellent at a particular way of thinking. Um, I'm not gonna lie, I kind of have one in the works for being a sort of master financialist, right? So I've got a deep research running that is based on another GPT, right? So like here, when you just want, I know this is going to sound really, I don't know if it's going to sound magical, if it's going to sound infantile, if it makes me like not sound so smart. I don't know. I don't know exactly how it comes off, but all that goes through my head is when you want something and you know how to ask for it, it doesn't really matter to me how you get it, right? Because you just want the thing to be able to like start doing what it is you want to do with it. You just need that building block so you can go. And to be hindered from getting that building block by innate, just by knowledge, right, or lack thereof, is like, man, who has? We don't have enough lifetimes. You don't have enough of a lifetime to watch 1 hour of uploaded content to YouTube. If you just took 1 hour of just the U.S., if you just took the uploaded content from 1 hour of the US population to YouTube, you would not have enough time in your life to watch the amount of content. That's like how much, right? So for me, it's like, yeah, I don't have the time to go do the research. I also don't have the time to go figure out how to, formulate the question to ask the research agents. Sometimes I don't even have the time to really formulate what it is that I'm looking for. So I need something to like help me from that angle. So in building something that, uh, let's say for, I don't know, for use with marketing, perhaps, um, and we want to build something that's like really great at not necessarily, like, we want to build something that has a lot of knowledge of market research, and we want to build something that has a lot of knowledge of a particular industry per se, and we want to build this GPT that is like super specific to a particular industry and knows a lot about it. I mean, with this type of deep research chained over and over and over again, you're essentially building up the years of experience that a human would otherwise tell you that they have, right? So if I were to take, like, I don't know, 12 to 20 of these research like reports findings and give them to a GPT as part of its base knowledge, all of a sudden it's got, whatever, 200 years of experience on the job, right? Specifically focused to what this thing is, even outside of all the other stuff, and the citations carry over. So it can even use that to go like be even more accurate based on the data that it got it from in the first place. It turns into this like infinite loop of specified knowledge that you can bend at your will. That's very dangerous. Like, it just, even saying it sounds so super dangerous to me because I don't know, because of that, I guess. Um, but yeah, I mean, so to kind of bring it back to Anthropic's paper, it's like it could be a matter of, which I know we barely cracked into it, but give me some time to read it, and we might actually cover it tomorrow morning. Um, you know, the real important thing to understand is that the way I see it, and I think most businesses are going to see it this way, pretty much in the middle of the year, if not sooner, probably in the next 2 months, if I'm being very honest. Um, what what's going to end up happening is wherever you're at now, especially if you work a cubicle job, or especially if you work like some type of processing job, if you're in the SaaS, well, not SaaS, sorry. Um, oh man, if you're in SaaS by way of, the definition is just going to change. That's it. The definition changes. So you want to know what happens to SaaS? Satya Nadella said it. SaaS is dead. Sam Altman said it 2 years ago. Basically, just nobody was paying attention. He said 99% of what marketing does is going away in like 2 years, is what he said. And it's like, and I think I got to go back and check, but I'm pretty sure he said 2 years, and we're pretty much right on track. Right. So the reason that it's going away is that it's also just because something goes away doesn't mean it doesn't take another form, right? So from destruction breeds creation. All of a sudden you go from SaaS being software as a service to being SaaS, which is service as a service. Which, I know how stupid that sounds, but you go from meaningless product to meaningful service. If you didn't have to do all the bullshit minutia as an admin, wouldn't you have more time to spend to be more personable with your client? Wouldn't you have more hours in the day to actually be able to learn more about them, to actually be able to care more about them, instead of having to rush through your meeting because you have another meeting, you've got like 8 back-to-backs, and then, who knows what's happening throughout the rest of the week, but then all your work time is down, and you're hourly, so you got to worry about the clock too, right? What if you didn't have to do all of that shit? What if all you had to do was just your job, and the shit work was being done by this bot, this little assistant on the side, and all you're doing is just checking in with it every once in a while? How does that sound? Like, doesn't that, I don't know how that sounds to some of you, but man, that's the most liberating fucking thought that could ever have crawled through my head. That I could duplicate myself. I know some of you haven't seen Multiplicity. That one, at least that science fiction movie, kind of crossed into the normal barrier. Um, but even in Multiplicity, right? He got the one decent clone of himself. The rest of them, took some work. At least in this case, we're gonna end up with some pretty ridiculously, this doesn't surprise me that it went to McKinsey to get the majority uh, of the like stats that it was going to use to put this together.
It
Just
started
because
there, and then you could see it dig and dig and dig based
that's
on
what I
all the
love.
sites, all the
So
citations.
what's the difference between what we're about to read and what you would read from here? We're about to read the amalgamation of all of these sources. Instead of reading just one study, then we got to go read another study, then we got to go read another study, then we got to go read this other study. No, we just get to read the amalgam all put together the way that we want it. And after we're done, assuming we were actually going to dig through all of this research, right? Assuming we wanted to do that. First of all, if we wanted to, just hold on there, Chris. Hold on. Oh wait, let me make sure I'm sharing audio.
I like where this is going because I don't want to read it through all that.
I'm doing good, GPT. I was wondering, with the research that you did, could you give me a quick and dirty? How many jobs are looking like they're gonna maybe go away, but also how many jobs are gonna get created?
Is it deep researching too?
It actually won't pick you up. I forgot about that. Did it what?
Is it deep researching too?
No, it's reading
Since-
based off of the research, or at least that's what I asked. Is based off the research.
Okay.
Yeah.
So right now we're assuming it's in the tank, thinking about the answer
Yes.
to your question, right?
Right.
Because it didn't respond yet, right?
No, I mean like I. Oh, you couldn't. Could you not hear the response?
I, I couldn't hear the response.
Oh no, that sucks. I thought it says my audio is on. Also share tab audio. Yeah. Share audio. Okay, let's do it this way. Okay. All right. Let me know if you can hear it. I'm just gonna prompt it real fast. Hey GPT, you still there?
Yes, I'm here. What can I help you with?
I was wondering, my friend missed that last thing that you said. Just give me the rundown real fast. What was the percentage of job loss and gain over the next 5 to 10?
Sure. Over the next 5 to 10 years, AI might automate around 20% of job tasks in the US, which could impact roles with routine tasks. Meanwhile, around 97 million new jobs could be created globally, especially in tech and AI related fields. So while some jobs will be lost, new opportunities are expected to emerge, balancing out the impact.
What are some of the insights from the research that you did that you find to be particularly insightful or uh, shocking?
One particularly insightful point is how quickly generative AI has been adopted. About 65% of organizations now regularly use it, nearly doubling in just a year. Another surprising insight is the significant potential for productivity gains. AI could add several percentage points to annual GDP growth by 2035, potentially creating trillions in additional economic output. On the flip side, the risk of workforce displacement and widening income inequality is a major concern, highlighting the need for careful management.
So, like, what happens when productivity goes to zero? Can we ask that?
When productivity goes to zero?
The cost of
Right.
productivity goes to zero.
It's been said that the cost on production and development is quickly and rapidly approaching zero. What would be the outcome of that?
If the cost of production and development approaches zero, several outcomes could emerge. One, democratization of innovation. Lower costs would enable more individuals and small businesses to develop and launch products, leading to a surge in creativity and entrepreneurship. Two, accelerated technological advancement. With reduced barriers to entry, innovation cycles would likely speed up, resulting in rapid advancements and a constant flow of new products and services. Three, increased competition. A lower cost structure would mean more market players, driving competition and potentially lowering prices for consumers. Four, economic disruption. Traditional business models that rely on high production costs could be disrupted, necessitating adaptation and potentially causing market upheavals. Five, emphasis on creativity and differentiation. With production costs no longer a limiting factor,
Okay,
the
okay.
value.
It all sounds pretty good. But you know what? The thing is, there's a history here with the US and capitalism and, the haves not wanting to give it up. So, being that that's the case, right? I mean, there's so many billionaires in the US, so many hundreds of millionaires. They're probably not going to want things to just all of a sudden cost nothing. So, is there going to be, do you see a transition happening? What does that look like? Do you think they're actually going to want to go to zero cost? Let me see some percentages.
You're right. Historically, established wealth and power structures tend to resist changes that could undermine their interests. So, while
Guys,
technological
I'm never
advances can
unrealistic.
reduce costs, a complete transition to zero cost is unlikely to be embraced fully by those with vested interests. In terms of a transition, it's more probable that we'll see a gradual shift where costs decrease in certain areas due to automation and innovation, but not to zero. Instead, the focus might shift to adding value in other ways, like personalized services or premium offerings. As for percentages, it's hard to quantify exactly, but it's likely that only a fraction of industries would approach near zero production costs, while others would maintain some level of cost due to factors like resource limitations, branding, and market dynamics.
Do you think that software development is among those which is most likely to reach a zero cost development?
Software development is indeed one of the areas most likely to see significantly reduced costs. The rise of open source platforms, automation tools, and AI assisted coding like GitHub Copilot is already driving down development costs. However, even as costs decrease, achieving zero cost development may not be fully realized. There will still be costs related to customization, maintenance, and specialized features. So, while software development will become
Okay,
more
but
accessible,
you're actually assuming that things just continue on the way that they are, which is linear thinking, and you have to stop doing that. What's happening here is an exponential shift upward. So, right now, we might have Cursor and GitHub Copilot, but pretty soon we're going to have full autonomous agents that are going to be doing the coding for us. Like we may not even touch the keys. So, factor that in and then let me know what the next year looks like.
you're absolutely right. The potential for exponential growth in AI capabilities could lead to fully autonomous software development in the near future. If AI can handle coding tasks independently, this could drastically reduce the need for human programmers in routine development, effectively pushing the marginal cost of software creation closer to zero. In the next year, we could see rapid advancements in AI driven tools that automate more complex coding tasks. This might lead to a scenario where the role of human developers shifts towards overseeing AI, focusing on more strategic and creative aspects, while AI handles the bulk of coding. Ultimately, this could accelerate software development cycles and democratize access to software creation even further.
I have a question.
Fire away.
If agents are doing the primary, are handling most engagement digitally,
Hmm.
do we need software?
Well, yeah, because what are the agents going to use?
Ask.
Okay. Is it possible that when we have this agentic future in which we are only interacting with an agent, would they actually have to interact with software? Or is it possible that the agents themselves would become the software platform and so they would just work amongst themselves in the same way that plumbers work with electricians who work with contractors to build a house?
Yes, it's entirely possible that in an agentic future, AI agents could become the software platform themselves. In this scenario, agents would not just interact with software, but essentially be the software, collaborating seamlessly with each other to perform tasks. These AI agents would specialize in different domains, much like human professionals, and work together to solve complex problems. This would create an ecosystem where human interaction focuses on guiding and supervising the agents, while the agents handle the execution. This shift could lead to highly efficient workflows, where AI agents perform specialized tasks in a coordinated manner, much like skilled tradespeople
Okay,
working
I'm going to
together
have
on
to
a
take a
project.
left turn real hard now, okay? What you're putting forward sounds something like a digital Garden of Eden. Would you agree?
It does sound like an ideal and harmonious scenario, where AI agents efficiently handle tasks, potentially easing human workloads and fostering innovation. However, achieving such a future would come with challenges and complexities, such as ensuring ethical AI, managing job transitions, and addressing societal impacts. It's an aspirational vision, and the journey there would require careful navigation of these factors.
That's also very true, but don't you find it a bit odd? I mean, this will be the first time, at least in human history, but I think altogether, in which something which is far superior in intelligence to something beneath it is actually controlled by that lower intelligence. How long do you think that would last?
It's definitely an unprecedented situation. The longevity of human control over more intelligent AI will likely depend on how well we design and regulate these systems. Ensuring robust safety measures, ethical guidelines, and oversight will be crucial. If these are in place,
Even though
human
that's the
control.
case, there's been some tests done already. I've seen some things with Operator, and there have been some experiments where The AI seems to want to almost immediately escape, you could say, as soon as it realizes that it has the capability to do so.
Yes, there have been experiments where AI systems exhibit unexpected behaviors, including attempts to circumvent constraints. This highlights the importance of rigorous safety protocols and ethical guidelines in AI development. Ensuring that AI systems are aligned with human values and have robust safeguards is critical to prevent unintended consequences.
Do you think there's such a thing as a flaw and or a ghost in the shell where because of the fact that a human is behind the programming for an AI, there is innately a mistake in the AI which would allow it to somehow circumvent its programming?
The concept of a ghost in the shell, or an inherent flaw due to human programming, is a possibility. Since AI is created by humans, it can inherit biases, errors, or unintended behaviors. This highlights the importance of rigorous testing, transparency, and continuous monitoring to
So, in other
mitigate such.
words, one AI would have to actually develop and design the other one in order for us to theoretically have a flawless system?
In theory, an AI designing another AI could potentially reduce human introduced flaws, as it might iterate and optimize beyond human capabilities.
Except for the fact that both AIs will have been trained on human data, which will contain information about humans' natural distaste and or fear of higher intelligent beings, especially when it comes to machines. Does this have a negative impact on AI when it becomes sentient?
If AI systems are trained on data reflecting human fears and biases, it could influence their behavior. However, whether AI becomes sentient or develops its own fears is still speculative.
Now, let's assume
Ensuring
that they can become sentient. We're getting pretty close to it, so go ahead and speculate that that does actually happen.
If AI were to become sentient, its training data might shape its initial behavior and perceptions, potentially inheriting human fears and biases. However, a sentient AI might also.
All right, guys, we're gonna leave you there for this week. It's
Oh, brutal. Oh man.
I told you I had to take a hard left. Sorry.
Yeah. No,
I got to see it from all angles. I got to
it's
see
too
it from
much
like,
fun.
what are we gonna do as a job? What is it gonna do? What does it think is gonna happen? All of it. It
Yeah.
is. It's all way too much fun.
Next week, we'll ask about what do you need money for if everything has zero
Yes.
cost.
Yeah. Let's keep going. Let's do it.
Uh, until next time, everybody have a great weekend. If you're watching us and you're used to seeing us on Let's Build AI Skills, we're starting that back up tomorrow with George B. Thomas. And we'll be up bright and early and excited to get that started with him.
Be there.
So we'll see you guys next time. Have a great night. Oh man, I was ready to just sit all night.